Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel Stamp Cat Stamps, where I share with you the things that I learned from my stamp collection. And as 2021 is coming to an end, I wanted to make one last video celebrating a certain centenary that happened this year, and that is the centenary of the birth of the famous engraver Czeslaw Slania. Now, if you've been following other philatelic media outlets for a while, I'm sure you've heard of Czeslaw Slania. You may have watched videos about him by TED Talk Stamps or by the American Philatelic Society, or maybe you've heard about him in numerous print publications like Lynn's Stamp News, Stamp Magazine, the UK's Stamp Collector magazine, or the Canadian Philatelist. He's currently known as the world's most productive engraver, meaning that he has the current world record for having completed the highest number of unique stamp engravings for any one person, which reached over 1,000 engravings during his lifetime. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2005, but because of his invaluable contributions to the design and creation of so many stamps, 6 countries have released commemorative stamps this year, honoring what would have been his 100th birthday. And I've managed to get 5 out of the 6 of these Slania centenary stamps, so let's have a look at them. Before we have a look at these stamps, in order to fully understand and appreciate the mastery of Slania's work as an engraver, we must first answer the question, how are stamps created by engraving? It begins with a square piece of steel called a die. Line by line, the picture is etched into this steel plate with a tool called a burin. In Slania's era of line engraving, the image was made true to size of the postage stamp. It wasn't scaled down from a larger photographic or computer image, although that's more how it's done today. A master engraver can create depth and shadow by controlling the spacing of the lines and also how deeply the lines are cut. But they must be careful and precise. Any mistakes made are irreversible. After the die is complete, the image is transferred to a cylinder that is then used to make plates, and the plates are filled with ink and pressed onto the paper to make sheets of stamps. This method of printing is called recess or intaglio because the ink is in recesses or wells on the plates when it is then pressed onto the paper. This also means that on the stamp, the ink is actually raised on top of the paper. This is one of the reasons why engraved stamps are considered so beautiful. The raised ink creates a very subtle 3D effect that makes the lines more vivid. They catch light and shadow differently than stamps where the image is all printed on one plane on top of the paper. Apparently, you can sometimes tell if a stamp is engraved by running your finger over the surface of it and feeling for the raised ink. Or one stamp forum I saw said you can put a piece of tin foil on top of the stamp and rub it to see if it creates an impression. Huh. Both of these stamps were engraved by Czeslaw Slania, the stamp of Grace Kelly issued by the United States, and the ballerina stamp issued by Sweden. This method kind of worked. I can kind of see the little reflection of Grace Kelly on here, but on the ballerina stamp, I see nothing. You can also just use the internet to try to look up the printing method. So let's get back to these souvenir sheets. As you can see, 3 of these sheets have the same image for the stamp, but different background image for the sheet. These sheets are a joint issue from Greenland, Faroe Islands, and Denmark. A joint issue is when multiple countries release a stamp commemorating the same event, usually issued on the same date and usually with very similar design. Greenland and Faroe Islands are not considered to be independent countries by themselves, but both are self-governing nations under the Kingdom of Denmark. These sheets were issued on August 25th of 2021. Obviously, Slania did a lot of work making engravings for all 3 nations, which is why they chose to commemorate his centenary. The portraits on all 3 of these sheets, as well as this one from Monaco were all engraved by the same person, Martin Morck, which is very special because similar to Slania, Morck is currently the most productive living stamp engraver. He is often thought of as the next Slania because he has engraved over 800 motifs that have been used for stamps, and it is presumed that he may surpass Slania's total engraving record in the near future. Both Slania and Morck have engraved a number of beautiful stamps for several Nordic countries, so he's a very fitting choice to have engrave the portrait of the master engraver himself. I also have something pretty exciting to share with you about this portrait. I have in postcard form a copy of the original photo that was used to make the stamp design, and it was sent to me by the person who took the photo. This is a postcard sent to me by stamp collector Wayne Chen, taken at the Pacific 97 International Stamp Show in San Francisco. Wayne is actually the person who got me interested in this whole topic. He watches the channel and sent me a message on social media. I checked out his Facebook page and saw his posts about articles that he had written for Lynn's Stamp News about having his photograph chosen for this stamp issue. And Wayne was kind enough to do a little interview, kind of conversation with me on Zoom, where he shared a bit of his experience with me.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. So about this stamp issue, about 5 years ago, 2016, when I wrote the article for Lynn's Stamp News that would entice people to visit New York and also to visit stamp shows. So I kind of used my own experience. The first World Stamp Show that I attended was in 1997 in San Francisco, Pacific 97. That's where I met Mr. Slania in person and took that photo. And it just kept in my photo album for 25 years. And when I wrote that article, I include that photo along with my article. That's why it was published by Lynn's Stamp News. And it's been online since then. So last year, in preparation for his centennial birthday, there was an avid collector who looked for appropriate photos of Slania's portrait, and he has been a long-term friend of Martin Morck's. So he looked online and found my photo that's published by Lynn's Stamp News, and he really liked it. And through Lynn's Stamp News chief editor, they got to my contact and asked if I would be willing to give the rights to make this stamp. And of course, I was thrilled. I said, certainly, and I'm not taking any compensation, just mention my name as photo credit. I think that will be sufficient. And I planned for this visit, and I wrote all the whole series of events that followed to that. I eventually could not even go there.
I was so frustrated reading your article. Like, yeah. It was like,
I know, everything was so planned out, and
it was what was it, like 3 flights that you?
Yeah, I got my first flight. I got there in the morning thinking, all right, between New York and Chicago, how bad could that be? If I get delayed, I still can catch the next flight.
Like a 2-hour flight normally? Or?
Exactly, and yeah. It's very frequent from New York to Chicago. Who would have thought that that plane first was delayed for a couple hours, then 12 hours because of mechanical failure? I was like, all right, 12 hours does not sound right. So let me try to get to a different airline. So I switched and actually got on that flight. But once I started to taxi off, the pilot says not to go because of the severe weather in the Midwest. I mean, where you used to grow up, Indiana, Ohio region. So they had to reroute that flight, and there's no way that small plane can carry that much fuel. So they had to taxi back. Yeah. So after that, it was just periods of waiting until eventually it's not taking off.
Oh, that's so frustrating. So it wasn't even like COVID related.
No, it was weather. It was mechanical, and then weather, and of course.
That is so frustrating.
I know, it's okay. I mean, at the end, I actually get together with the organizer and got quite a lot of the souvenirs, so I can show you.
Yeah, I'd love to see if you have them with you.
Here's the folder. The interesting thing is all these were signed by Martin Morck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is the black print. And these are the 3 Greenland Denmark, and
Denmark.
Faroe Islands.
And then the Denmark one actually has your name on the stamp.
It has it actually on the bottom left.
Yeah.
It has both my name as photo credit and the engraver.
That is so cool. And you weren't expecting that?
I wasn't expecting that. Neither was the organizers.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Eventually they did, and was very nice of them. That was really like once in a lifetime for a stamp collector like me.
Yeah. Wayne's collecting topics of interest include joint issues and unusual stamps made from unusual materials like fabric, wood, rock sediment, or even seeds inside stamps. He has a Facebook page called Sheer Philately, which I'll link below, where he posts about all of the new, unusual stamp issues that come out. So be sure to check that out. There's a link in the description below. And thanks so much, Wayne, for chatting with me and for all of your help in researching this topic. And also for sending me this postcard twice, actually. The first attempt got lost in the mail or maybe taken by a fellow Slania fan along the way. The other souvenir sheet that I have here is issued by Poland. Poland is the birthplace of Czeslaw Slania, and the issue date of this stamp was actually on his birthday in October 22nd. It's part of a joint issue with Sweden, which is the only sheet that I'm missing of the Slania Centenary issues, but I'll put a picture of it here. And both of these sheets show an important work by Slania. On the Poland issue, the image on the sheet is from the very beginning of his career. It's actually his diploma piece or graduation final project from the Krakow Academy of Fine Arts. It shows a portion of the painting The Battle at Grunwald in stamp form. And then the colorful stamp shown on the Swedish sheet is his 1000th stamp based on the Swedish painting Great Deeds by Swedish Kings. And although it's not part of the 2021 issues, I also purchased these stamps. These are United Nations stamps issued in 1986 for the topic of philately, the international hobby. These stamps were engraved by Slania himself, so this one is actually kind of like a self-portrait. Finally, I'm going to end this video and the year 2021 by sharing with you my favorite 21 facts about Czeslaw Slania. This is just a really brief overview about all of the information there is to know about him, but I hope this can give a good overview about his life and his work in celebration of his centenary year. Fact number 1, a true-born artist, Slania could draw before he could talk. Number 2, he started forging stuff as early as primary school. Things like lunch tickets, signatures, student IDs. He did get in trouble, and the principal told his mom he would either grow up to be a very great artist or a very great criminal. Thank goodness for us, it was the former. When he was 18 during the Second World War, he joined the resistance against the Nazis when the Germans took over Poland. He made fake documents for Jewish persons to help them escape the country. When he was 19, he needed a photo to get an ID, but he couldn't afford to get the picture taken. So he just drew one himself and submitted that as the image. And this is actually the picture that's shown on the Sweden and Poland centenary souvenir issues. Fact number 5, he loved to watch professional boxing, and one of his most popular non-stamp works was his series on heavyweight champions of the world, which he engraved for fun. And after his passing, fellow engraver and friend Peter Nazarkowski added an engraved picture of Slania himself to fill the final space on his set of boxer labels. Fact number 6, he got arrested and then ended up drawing a birthday card for his guard's wife while he was in captivity. By now we know that Slania was no stranger to forging things. He got in trouble during the war for using some forged money, and he was arrested and put under guard. It kind of came out in conversation that the guard was in need of a birthday gift for his newlywed wife, so Slania asked him for a pen, a paper, and a picture of his wife, and just whipped up a portrait card for her right there. Fact number 7, that same guard rescued him from captivity and possibly saved his life. After a few days of talking, they kind of got got to know each other a little bit more, and the guard said, "Come with me." He marched him across the camp at gunpoint, pretending to take him somewhere else, and then just let him go. After that, they became lifelong family friends. Slania went to the renowned Krakow Academy for Fine Arts, but he almost didn't get accepted. When he applied, he was supposed to submit a diverse portfolio of different types of art, but he only submitted miniatures because that's what he was most interested in, and the admission committee thought that wasn't enough diversity. But a professor saw his submissions and personally vouched for him and convinced them, "You've got to let this guy in," and so they took him on. As you know, he created this piece for his graduation diploma. There were some actual prints of this label made, and there's some speculation that these were being used illegally as postage. Number 10. In 1956, Slania took a cruise to Sweden and never went home. He left his home country of Poland and claimed political asylum when the cruise ship stopped at Sweden. It's unclear exactly why he decided to leave, although some theories include he didn't like the new communist government, or maybe he was in some kind of trouble with the authorities. But it's still a little bit of a mystery. Fact number 11. He worked as a dishwasher. So when he first arrived in Sweden, there weren't any openings for engravers at the post office. So he had to get by doing menial jobs like photo retouching and working as a dishwasher. But this period of life is when he actually spent time working on his non-stamp portraits or labels of celebrities and famous boxers to hone his engraving skills. Fact number 12. Slania almost moved to Canada. He was offered a job with the Canadian Banknote Company, but before he made the move, a full-time position opened up for him at Swedish Post, so he decided to stay and work there instead. But, fact number 13, he did end up doing some engravings for Canada's banknotes, including the portrait of Sir Wilfrid Laurier on our $5 bill, and the portrait of Sir Robert Borden on our $100 bill. Fact number 14, he got in trouble with the FBI. He really liked the President Dwight Eisenhower, and for his birthday made a sort of commemorative $20 bill with the image of the president on the back. But his bill was so realistic that the FBI and Interpol showed up at his house demanding to confiscate the plate that he was using to create these fake forgeries. They would not believe that there was no plate and that he just drew the bill by hand until he had to sit down and replicate it for them while they watched. Fact number 15, he would hide the names and sometimes faces of friends and family members inside his engravings, like in this 1954 stamp where he wrote the names of some family and friends on the books on the shelves in the back, or this one where he added his face and the faces of some of his co-workers as the skiers, or even this one where he used his mom as a model for this potato farmer. Fact 16, 17, and 18. In the year 2000, he was awarded 3 Guinness World Records, and I believe he still holds them. He has engraved more stamps than any one person in the world. He has engraved the world's largest steel engraved stamp, which was his 1000th stamp, and he is the person who has done the most engravings for the most postal administrations in the world at 32. Fact number 19, he has a daughter named Olivia or Liv Slania, and she actually did an interview this year answering questions about her dad for the celebration of his centenary, and her interview is actually where I'm getting a lot of these facts from, kind of telling more about his personal life. I'll link that in the description too. It's a really interesting interview that you should check out. Fact number 20, he was the royal court engraver for not 1, not 2, but 3 countries: Sweden, Denmark, and Monaco. And fact number 21, his dream or his passion was that he wanted art to be accessible to everybody, no matter their class or their status. It's safe to say he's played a great part in bringing a little piece of high quality art to everyone in the world in the form of his stamps. So that's all for this video about the legendary stamp engraver Czeslaw Slania. Hope you've enjoyed looking at these stamps and learning about the life of Mr. Slania. As always, stay safe, stay curious, and Happy New Year! Bye!